The Rules of People. Welcome to Bookshare Audio, where every page becomes a journey of understanding and every idea helps us connect more deeply with ourselves and others. In this reflection, we explore the profound lessons from The Rules of People, a timeless guide to understanding human behavior, empathy, and communication. This is not a summary, but a conversation about life, about how we can live better together, navigate our differences, and build relationships that uplift instead of drain us. Human beings are the most complex and fascinating creations on this planet. Every person carries a story that shapes their way of thinking, reacting, and behaving. To understand people, we must first accept that behind every action, there is a reason, even when it's hidden or illogical to us. When someone shouts, avoids, criticizes, or withdraws, what we see is the outer reaction, but what drives it is often pain, insecurity, or fear. Understanding this simple truth changes how we respond. Instead of reacting with anger or judgment, we begin to respond with awareness and calm. It doesn't excuse bad behavior, but it allows compassion to coexist with boundaries. The moment we understand that everyone's past silently guides their present, we open the door to patience, empathy, and wiser decisions. Equally important is the recognition that no one is obligated to be like us. We often expect others to think, act, and feel the way we do, forgetting that their wiring, upbringing, and personality are different. Expecting sameness in a diverse world is a silent form of control. True peace begins when we respect differences, not just tolerate them. Some people are meticulous, others chaotic. Some are spontaneous, others cautious. None of these are right or wrong, they're simply human variations. The art of getting along is not about changing others, but learning to work with their rhythm while keeping our own balance. When we stop demanding that people mirror us, relationships flow with less friction and more respect. Another truth that governs human connection is that people hear what they want to hear and believe what they want to believe. Facts rarely change minds because beliefs are not built from logic alone. They grow from experiences, fears, identities, and emotional comfort zones. You can't convince someone by arguing louder. You can only influence by understanding where their belief comes from. Change happens not when someone is told they're wrong, but when they experience something that quietly rearranges their understanding of the world. This is why persuasion is an art of empathy, not debate. When we meet people where they are, without belittling their perspective, we plant seeds of reflection that may one day grow into change. Communication, then, becomes more than words. It's attitude. The energy we bring into a conversation often decides its outcome before words are even spoken. When we enter a discussion defensive, people mirror that defensiveness. When we approach with calm confidence, we inspire trust. The tone of our voice, our body language, even the way we breathe, all communicate louder than sentences. If we want cooperation, we must first embody it. If we want respect, we must give it without insecurity. Emotional intelligence is not just about controlling what we say. It's about shaping the atmosphere we create around us. Every interaction is an echo. What we give returns to us in some form. We also learn that first impressions matter, not because they define someone forever, but because they reveal subtle truths about intuition. That quiet feeling we get upon meeting someone often carries more wisdom than we realize. Instinct is the mind's way of processing subtle cues faster than reason can. Trusting that intuition doesn't mean judging others prematurely. It means paying attention to the signals our subconscious gathers. When something feels off, it's usually because our mind detects patterns we can't yet articulate. Listening to that inner sense allows us to approach relationships with awareness instead of blindness. Understanding people also requires accepting that humans are tribal by nature. We all long to belong to a family, a group, a community, a belief system. This tribal instinct explains loyalty, prejudice, and group conflict alike. People protect their own, even when their own is defined by something as simple as a workplace, a club, or a country. The deeper the emotional bond, the stronger the loyalty, and sometimes the blindness. If we wish to bridge divides, we must make people feel that they belong with us rather than against us. Inclusion isn't about agreeing on everything. It's about expanding the circle of belonging until there are fewer us versus them walls left standing. At the heart of every human being lies a need to feel valued. When people don't feel seen or appreciated, they shrink, withdraw, or lash out. Many conflicts stem not from disagreement, but from unacknowledged worth. Saying thank you is good, but genuine appreciation goes beyond courtesy. It acknowledges the person, not just the action. When we let others know their presence matters, when we notice their effort, when we affirm their strengths, we fill invisible emotional gaps that keep relationships alive. The strongest teams, families, and friendships are built not on control or correction, but on constant affirmation of value. It is not flattery, it's nourishment. Along the same line, humor and light teasing are part of human bonding. Gentle teasing, when born from affection, is a language of closeness. It tells someone, I see you, I'm comfortable with you. Yet, when teasing becomes cruel, when it targets pain instead of personality, it crosses into harm. Understanding this fine line protects relationships from turning toxic. True connection makes people feel safe, even in laughter. False connection makes them feel small. The difference lies in intention. One comes from love, the other from insecurity. Insecurity, in fact, is a universal thread. Everyone carries it, no matter how confident they appear. The bravest faces often hide the deepest doubts. Recognizing that everyone else is also insecure allows us to stop comparing and start empathizing. That executive who intimidates you, the teacher who seems unshakable, the friend who never falters, all of them have moments of fear, shame, and inadequacy. When we realize that insecurity is part of being human, not a personal flaw, we become kinder, both to ourselves and to others. We stop expecting perfection and start embracing authenticity. Yet, we must also remember that people rarely change their fundamental nature. Behavior can be modified, but character runs deep. You can teach manners, discipline, or communication skills, but you cannot rewrite someone's emotional DNA unless they truly desire to grow. Trying to fix others is a battle that leads only to frustration. Acceptance doesn't mean allowing harm. It means knowing the limits of your influence. You can inspire change, model change, encourage change, but you cannot enforce it. Peace comes when you stop forcing people to be someone they're not and start deciding how much of their true self you can coexist with. Understanding behavior also means recognizing that actions do not always reveal character. A kind person may act harshly under stress. A reserved person may appear cold while simply protecting your peace. What we see is only a snapshot of circumstance, not the whole picture. Judging others solely by behavior is like reading one line of a long story and assuming you know the plot. When we hold this awareness, we replace quick judgment with curiosity. Instead of saying, that's who they are, we ask, I wonder what made them act that way. Curiosity is the bridge between misunderstanding and compassion. Every relationship, whether romantic, familial, or professional, hides complexities that outsiders cannot see. What looks perfect may be tense. What looks chaotic may be harmonious in its own way. Two people can argue daily and still share unshakable love, while another couple may smile politely yet live in quiet misery. The truth of a relationship exists only between the people inside it. Therefore, we must resist the temptation to judge what we don't live. The moment we accept that appearances deceive, we become gentler in our opinions and wiser in our empathy. In social interaction, one of the most revealing patterns is how people use words. Those who feel the need to constantly impress, with titles, jargon, or big vocabulary, are often hiding insecurity. True intelligence expresses itself simply. The clearer the thought, the fewer the words needed. Confidence doesn't perform, it communicates. When someone overcomplicates to sound important, it usually means they fear being underestimated. Recognizing this prevents us from feeling inferior or irritated. We can instead see it as a quiet plea for acknowledgement. Real strength never needs to prove itself. Fear of confrontation is another deep-rooted trait. Many people would rather tolerate discomfort than risk disagreement. They avoid difficult conversations, thinking it will preserve peace. But silence often breeds resentment. Healthy communication is not about avoiding conflict, but approaching it with honesty and respect. When we express feelings calmly, without blame, we turn confrontation into collaboration. Saying, "When you do this, I feel," replaces accusation with authenticity. People respond not to anger, but to truth spoken without cruelty. Confrontation, when guided by care, heals more than it hurts. Anxiety, too, deserves redefinition. People feel nervous because they care. The trembling before a presentation, the fear before an exam, the worry before a conversation, all of it comes from love, hope, and meaning. If it didn't matter, we wouldn't feel anxious. Recognizing that nervousness is a form of caring transforms weakness into dedication. Instead of fighting anxiety, we can thank it for reminding us that something is worth our effort. Behind every heartbeat of fear lies a heartbeat of passion. The goal is not to erase nervousness, but to walk through it with purpose. As we deepen our understanding of people, we see that emotions rarely exist alone. Anger often hides sadness, pride hides fear, and silence hides pain. When we meet anger with more anger, we feed the fire. When we meet it with calm observation, we uncover the sadness underneath. Emotional maturity means learning to listen beneath words, to hear what isn't said. Sometimes a person's loudest message is in their quietest behavior. Listening beyond language allows us to respond to needs instead of reacting to noise. To live wisely among others, we must also recognize boundaries. Not everyone wants help, not everyone is ready for advice, and not everyone will appreciate our efforts. Helping people is not about rescuing them. It's about empowering them to help themselves. Often, the kindest thing we can do is to listen without solving, to stay without controlling. Real support gives freedom, not dependence. When we stop measuring our kindness by how much we do for others and start measuring it by how much strength we awaken in them, we become truly helpful. The ultimate secret of human connection is reciprocity. Relationships thrive when there is balance, give and take, listening and speaking, teaching and learning. When one side dominates, the other silently withdraws. People need to feel that their energy is respected, that their contributions are recognized. Even small gestures, remembering details, saying thank you properly, offering help without being asked, create invisible bonds of trust. The more we nurture these small acts, the stronger our relationships grow. However, life also brings us into contact with difficult people, those who manipulate, control, or drain. Understanding them doesn't mean tolerating abuse. It means recognizing patterns so we can protect ourselves intelligently. Difficult behavior often stems from fear, the fear of losing control, being insignificant, or being hurt. By not personalizing their actions, we preserve our peace. Instead of absorbing their chaos, we set calm boundaries. The greatest power is not in fighting toxic energy, but in refusing to mirror it. Ultimately, every lesson about people leads back to self-awareness. The better we understand others, the clearer we see ourselves. The patience we give, the respect we demand, the empathy we extend, all mirror how we treat our own inner world. People are our greatest teachers, not because they're perfect, but because they reflect our growth. Every misunderstanding is a mirror for our expectations, every conflict a test of our calm, every kindness a measure of our heart. The rules of people are not strict formulas, but gentle reminders. They teach us to observe more, judge less, and act with intention. They remind us that kindness is not weakness, listening is not submission, and understanding is not agreement. They show us that life becomes lighter when we stop fighting others' differences and start embracing the shared humanity beneath them. We were all stories in progress, flawed, hopeful, afraid, and capable of love. When we see people through that lens, every interaction becomes an opportunity to create peace instead of pain. So as you reflect on these ideas, remember that every person you meet carries both light and shadow. The way you treat them decides which side grows stronger. Be the presence that makes others feel safe to be real. Be the listener who hears without judging. Be the example of calm in the noisy world. Because the more peace you create around you, the more peace you carry within you. Thank you for listening to this reflection presented by Bookshare Audio, where words heal, inspire, and connect hearts. If this message resonated with you, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who values wisdom and kindness. And if there's a book you'd like us to explore next, drop your request in the comments below. Your suggestion might be the next journey we take together. Thank you.